Sigma men engage in behaviors that are unique to them. There's always something new to learn about them, from their odd traits to their strange behaviors. Sigma men are frequently misunderstood since they are the rarest kind of males in the world and because others are not accustomed to their characteristics. Even if some of their actions may be unusual, there is typically a completely valid explanation for why they act in the way that they do. Here are 12 peculiar behaviors shared by all male Sigmas that are unfathomable to non-Sigmas. First, they always choose a seat in the rear of the room. Because Sigma men dislike being the center of attention, they frequently seek seats towards the rear of the room where they can quietly observe events. In this manner, they may observe and evaluate events without being distracted. They just want to fit in and not stand out like alpha men, without intentionally attempting to be antisocial. A benefit of sitting at the rear is that they may leave quickly if necessary. They won't speak if they can quickly leave an uninteresting meeting or conference without being recognized. People sometimes mistake them for being quiet or indifferent until they have something significant to say, but in reality, they are so perceptive that they frequently know more about what is occurring than anybody else in the room. This kind of person is always attentive and taking things in, but because they are so quiet, you would never know it. They just use remaining inconspicuous to gather information and avoid needless interactions. In addition, they steer clear of overly talkative salesmen to the point that they eventually leave the store empty-handed. Sigma males like to weigh their alternatives independently and make decisions when shopping since they don't like to be distracted. Yes, kids will ask for assistance if they have a question, but most of the time they would prefer to figure things out on their own. They detest being pushed into making a purchase to the point where they consider leaving the store if a salesman is persistently pursuing them. They are aware that even if they would still like to be left alone, it is part of their work. They detest when individuals try to persuade them into buying their items by going over every last detail or use high-pressure techniques. Being efficient is a priority for Sigma guys, therefore they will swiftly go on to another store where they can buy what they need without having to sit through all the sales presentations. It's vital to be direct while marketing to Sigmas. Just provide them with the information they want, and then let them make their own decisions. If they need more information, they will inquire about it. 3. They don't always appreciate praises. It's not that Sigma men don't enjoy praises. After all, it feels wonderful to be praised for a job well done. However, occasionally compliments may come across as a trap or the manner in which they are delivered can be off-putting. Sigmas frequently have a very modest nature and don't want approval from others to feel good about themselves. They don't require affirmation from others since they are aware of their own value. Additionally, they find it offensive and will immediately pick up on it when someone tries to flatter or win them over in exchange for something. Many Sigma men dislike hearing that they are brilliant or skilled at something, despite the fact that compliments are meant to make people feel good. The majority of them are aware of their intelligence, therefore what makes them feel good is when others pay attention to them and take their counsel. It's acceptable to congratulate a Sigma sometimes, but you should only do it inadvertently. A person might not take your praises seriously if you often congratulate them. Number 4, they reverse the direction of travel to avoid running into a loudmouth. Big mouth individuals cause a lot of problems for Sigma guys since they are constantly talking and vying for attention. They also don't appear to know when to quit. They avoid them by changing their walking direction, crossing the street, or doing whatever else is necessary since they are noisy, rude, and generally bothersome. If they are trapped in a discussion with one of these people, it will be very difficult to escape and waste their time. Men of the Sigma gender cherish their time and would prefer not to squander it on drained individuals. They enjoy conversing with others, they simply prefer to do it with those with whom they truly have a shared interest. Many people interpret this behavior incorrectly and assume that men of the Sigma order are snobs who detest small chat and time wasters. We are all familiar with the type of person that only enjoys talking about themselves, and Sigmas would want to stay away from them at all costs. 5. They don't always have a smile. Sigma guys may not always appear to be serious and never smile, contrary to popular belief, but it doesn't mean they are unhappy or not having fun. They simply don't see the value in smiling constantly as other people do. Sigmas tend to be very internal. They don't feel the need to constantly express their emotions in public. They are frequently misunderstood as being cold or distant when, in fact, they are simply lost in thought. Sigmas process everything internally and would rather keep their thoughts and feelings to themselves. Sigma can express his enjoyment without needing to smile. He doesn't feel the need to share his enjoyment of the moment with those around him. Sigma men are more quiet and contemplative, whereas alpha guys are frequently talkative and extroverted. Sixth, they might not pick up the phone. Because Sigma guys dislike conversing on the phone, they may let calls go to voicemail or perhaps completely ignore them. Since it's often more efficient and they don't have to spend extra time on small chat, they would prefer to text or speak in person. They want to go right to the point since chit conversation is not their thing. Although some individuals might find this impolite, it's really simply a preference. The Sigma men do not intend to be rude. They simply don't want to chat on the phone all the time. If it's significant, they will undoubtedly respond, but if it's not, they won't waste their time. Don't take it personally if a Sigma doesn't answer the phone when you try to call him. He doesn't dislike you, he simply conducts himself according to his own standards. He won't alter his plans or his schedule merely to make room for you. Therefore, sending a Sigma a text is your best option if you want to communicate with him so that he may respond at his own pace and on his own timetable. They detest being alone with dull and dramatic people, according to number 7. Being alone in a room with someone who has nothing fascinating to say is the very worst thing that can happen to a Sigma. Or persistently venting about their issues. Life is too short to spend time with those who deplete our resources. Sigma guys love to be in the company of interesting, motivating, and humorous people. They need to have control over their surroundings and don't want to get sucked into a precarious position. They frequently exhibit a strong sense of independence and don't enjoy being around needy or clingy people. When you realize that Sigmas are frequently successful and don't want anything or anybody to impede their advancement, this may appear to be a cynical way of looking at the world, but it actually makes perfect sense. When the doorbell rings, they prevaricate being away from home. Number 8. Since Sigma guys are masters of discretion, it is not surprising that they frequently do not answer the door when the bell is rung. They will typically pretend to be away from home if they don't know the individual to avoid any awkward conversations. They do this in order to stay away from salespeople and other solicitors, but it may also be a strategy for them to maintain their privacy. They just cherish their privacy and alone time more than other people, which does not imply that they are paranoid. They frequently employ this strategy to maintain their sense of seclusion since they dislike being interrupted while they are paying attention to something or don't feel like chatting. It's actually a fairly shrewd approach to avoid any unwelcome interruptions, despite what some people may think. Being neglected isn't something that most people like, but Sigma guys don't mind at all. They aren't intentionally being rude, they are just too busy to engage in small conversation. They tell just a few people everything, according to number 9. Sigmas are very picky about who they let into their inner circle. They don't just open up to anyone and everyone, they only share their thoughts and feelings with the people they trust. This is because they are very private individuals and don't like to share too much about themselves with others. They are aware that not everyone is deserving of their trust. They have previously been let down by people they thought were their friends. Therefore, they are very careful about who they choose to surround themselves with. While Sigma guys are devoted friends and will go above and beyond for the ones they love, they won't hesitate to remove someone out of their lives if they believe that person is poisonous or destructive to them in any way. This won't happen frequently, but when it does, the Sigma will never look back. While alpha guys want attention and company in order to feel happy, Sigma males, on the other hand, are the exact opposite. They frequently become exhausted after spending too much time with others and need some time alone to recover. For this reason, they are frequently viewed as lone wolves since they do not require others to feel full or happy. Because they can recharge their batteries and go away from the noise and chaos of the outside world, Sigmas are quite satisfied to be by themselves and frequently find peace in nature or in their own thoughts. As a result, they return feeling re-energized and ready to take on anything. Numero 11. They wait until their neighbor has left before leaving their house. While many people view being alone as a negative experience, for Sigmas it is an essential aspect of life that allows them to reset and return feeling better than before. Although some individuals might like having close neighbors if they see their neighbor leaving, Sigma males typically wait a few minutes before leaving their own house. This doesn't mean they don't like their neighbors or are antisocial, but they are tired of the same questions every time they see them. Sigma males prefer to have some distance because they like to have their privacy and hate feeling like they're being watched. The last thing they want is to be kept up by a lengthy dull talk about their job, the weather, or anything else they really don't care about. Sure, it's good to speak for a while, but sometimes you are in a hurry and just want to get on with your day. While some may view this as a negative trait, Sigmas frequently prefer to observe rather than participate in activities. This is because they are interested in learning about how people function and what drives them, and they find it more interesting to sit back and take it all in rather than be in the middle of the action. This doesn't mean that Sigma don't still enjoy participating in activities, they just prefer to do so on their own. Sigma guys live by this tenet and prefer to listen to others speak than to talk about themselves. They can learn a lot about people simply by listening to them and seeing their body language, which improves their understanding of people and helps them determine what they want or need.